Assalamu alaikum students. So today we'll be doing 4024 P2 practice paper. This paper is focused on the new syllabus and the new format. Calculators are allowed. It is a 2-hour paper and almost 20 to 25 questions are involved. So I'll tell you how to smartly use your calculator in this and how to solve the questions, and do not miss out on writing the important steps which are necessary to get you the method mark. Let's start with the very first question. Y is equals to mx plus c. Find the value of y when m is -3, x is -2, and c is -8. So we just need to plug in the appropriate values in place of the variables. I need to find y when m is -3. Whenever you plug in, especially a negative value, put it in brackets. X is -2 and c is -8. So these two will multiply. -3 into -2 is +6, -8. And the answer is -2. Obviously, you would have done this in your calculator as well. This step calculator was not needed, but just letting you know, -3, -2, plus -8. So it gives you the answer is -2. Moving on to the next question, in which it is asking us the reciprocal of 1/8. So when we reciprocate, we switch the denominator and the numerator. So the reciprocal will be just 8/1, which is technically 8. So you can leave your answer as 8. Question 3 says divide $24 in the ratio 7:5. So we need to divide it into two parts. One part is 7 and the other part is 5. What we can do is we can find the total 7 plus 5, which is 12. So for the first one, if I want to find out, 24 needs to be divided into 12 parts, and out of those 12 parts, 7 needs to be given to the first one. This is one way of doing it. Another way is that once you find the total, you can say that 7 is to 12, which is the total, is basically x is to 24. That means if someone is getting 7 out of the 12, what will they get out of the total 24? So you can just use a calculator, cross multiply. 7 times 24 is 12x. X is again 12, goes on the other side and divides. There was a very easy method to do this as well, but I'm addressing to specifically those students who are unable to do very basic calculations. 7 into 24, and then divide the entire thing by 12, and your answer is 14. So out of the 24, if the first part gets 14, what will the other part get? Just to be sure, 24 minus 14, which is 10. So once it divides, it will be divided as 14 is to 10. This is how 24 will divide in the ratio 7 is to 5. Moving on to the next part. Write 24.60 as a fraction of 2870. So 24.6 will divide by 2870. We will use the calculator for this calculation now. 24.6 needs to be divided by 2870. The calculator will give us the simplified fraction, which is 3/50. 350, sorry, 3/350. Moving on to question number 5, which is a scale diagram. I'll not refer to that right now. I'll explain that to you people separately. Okay, then we have question number 6. Okay. Now, it is regarding a scatter plot. Question has provided us with a few distances and the time for those particular distance. Now it wants us to complete the scatter diagram. The first 6 points have been plotted for you. So when I'm plotting this point, which is 35 and 40, that would mean 35 distance and the time is 40. So 40 is the time and 35 is the distance, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the point. The next is 20 and 29. 20 is the distance and 29. This is the part. The next is 32 and 40. So 31, 32 and 40. The next is 35 and 48. So 48 and 35. The next is 22 and 33. So 22 and 33. Next is 39 and 46. So 39 on X and 46. Okay, so once you have these points, you've completed your scatter diagram. Now, the next part is asking us the type of correlation there is. What type of correlation there is? We can see that as the time this X quantity is increasing, the Y quantity is also increasing. 3, 4, 5, 6, just making sure. So we can say that this is a positive correlation. Moving on, the question wants us to draw the line of best fit. Now, it is a line that is supposed to be as close as possible to all the points. Keep your ruler and then draw a line which is almost as close as possible to all the points. So the line can be something like this. This appears to be as close as possible to all the points. All the points are cluttered around it. Make sure you extend this line and draw it on the entire page. Because if you'll be needing the values for the next part, then you'll have to extend it and you might end up not making it correctly. Now the question wants us to tell that another person drives a distance of 30 kilometers to work. Use your line of best fit to estimate how many minutes they take. So if they are driving 30 kilometers and we want to use this. So for 30 kilometers, the time that they will take is basically somewhere around here, 41.5. This is my value. Obviously, your line of best fit can vary. It might be leading to a different answer. So the time is 41.5. Minor tolerances are allowed in such questions, so do not worry about that. Moving on to question number 7. Dean invests $500 for 10 years at a rate of 1.7% simple interest. Calculate the total interest Dean earns during the 10 years. Again, we can just use the simple interest method, which is I is equals to PRT upon 100. Be sure that this tells you the interest, not the total value. Principal is 500. Rate is 1.7. Time is 10 years and divided by 100. So the interest that you'll end up with is 500 times 1.7 times 10, and you can divide it by 100, which is 85. So make sure you read the question. The question is just asking you the interest or the total value. Your total interest Dean gets, so the total interest that he gets during the 10 years is $85. Okay, next is Venn diagram. And the question is asking us to shade region A intersection B. That means which is a part of both A and B. This is the region that will be shaded for A intersection B. In the next part, they have told us few things about universal set contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the six numbers that I need to fit in. X is an even number. P is telling me that it is a set where even numbers are there. Q is a set of prime numbers. We always start filling them in diagram from inside out. Is there any even prime number? There is just one even prime number, which is 2. So first we label 2 over here. Okay, then even numbers. What are the other even numbers that I have? 4 and 6. And prime numbers, I have 3 as a prime number, 5 as a prime number. 1, 2, 3, 1 is the only number remaining. 1 is neither a prime number nor an even number. It is not even a composite number, so it will be out of both these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have covered all the numbers. And this is how we fill this Venn diagram. Moving on to question number 9. Solve this. Now, this is a very easy question. All you need to do is rearrange, get all the like terms on one side. 8x, 4x comes on the left, it becomes negative 4x minus 5. 3 goes on the right, becomes minus 3. So 4x becomes negative 8. X becomes negative 8 upon 4, which is basically negative 2. This is how you can get the value of x. Solve means to get the value. The value of x is negative 2. Now the question wants us to write 2 to the power negative 4 as a decimal. You can just use your calculator to get this. If you have the calculator, you can put 2 to the power negative 4 and it gives you the answer in fraction. You press this ST, it gives you the answer in decimal point 0.0625. So this is how you can do question number 10. Moving on to question number 11. Okay, so question number 11, a plane flies from Melbourne to Tokyo at an average speed of 783 kilometers per hour. The distance from Melbourne to Tokyo is 8352 kilometers. The plane leaves Melbourne at 9:52 local time. The local time in Tokyo is 2 hours behind. The one way of doing it is that plane leaves, if I'm calculating with the Tokyo time. So plane leaves, when does the plane leave? It was 2 hours behind. So 7:52, that is when the plane leaves Tokyo. Now, in order to find the time taken, speed is equals to distance upon time. So time is basically distance upon speed. Distance is 8352, speed is 783. So I can just use my calculator to tell me the time that it took. 8352 divided by 783. So this is 32.32 upon 3. Remember, this is the time in hours. So if I want to convert it into hours and minutes, it is telling me that it is 10 hours and 40 minutes. This is a button that I have pressed. It converts your answers into time. So it is telling me it is 10 hours and 40-minute flight. So the time is basically 10 hours and 40 minutes. Now what do I need to do? I need to add this to 742. So what can I do? I can just take 10 hours 40 minutes and add 7:52 as a time, and it will give me the time as 18:32. So plane arrives at 18:32 Tokyo time. So you can use your calculator for these calculations of time. Students are often confused in this. When you press once this button, it goes into hours, and when you press it again, it tells you the minutes. So the answer is 18 hours and 32 minutes. So giving the answer in 24-hour clock is perfectly fine. Moving on to question number 12, which is factorize. So this is the two-term expression. We can either take something common or we go for difference of square. This is not subtracting. Cannot be a difference of square. What can we take common? 3x. Now I'm left with 4x plus 3. And this is the maximum factorization possible for this one. And moving on to number 13. In a sale, the original prices are reduced by 15%. 15% of what? 15% of the original price. The original price of a book is $12. Calculate the sale price of the book. So after 15% reduction, the remaining amount is 85%. So sale price is basically 85% of 12, which means 85 upon 100 of 12, or you can say that it is 0.85 of whatever suits you. You need to put it in the calculator. It will give you the answer. So 0.85 of 12 is basically $10.20. 10.2 is good enough, but just because it's currency, trying to follow the format of currency, that is why I've written it to two decimal place. The sale price of a jacket is 38.25. That is the sale price of a jacket. Now I know the sale price. Again, sale price will be 85% of X. I do not know the original price. 38.52 is the sale price. 0.85 of X. Now 0.85 goes on the other side and it will divide 38 point, typo error, it's 25. 38.25 divided by 0.85, which means that the original price is $45. Now, moving on to question number 14. Be very careful while reading the word problems. Make sure you extract out all the information correctly. Make the data if you need to. Read it again if you have to, but do not be confused and make sure you're approaching it right. FC, United, and City are football teams. FC scored X goals. United scores 8 more goals than FC. So if I just want to write expressions, so I'll say that United scored X plus 8 or 8 plus X. City scored 3 goals fewer than. So City scored three goals fewer than twice the numbers of goals scored by FC. So twice the number of goals scored by FC and fewer 3. So subtract 3 from this. This is how much the City scored. The three teams scored a total of 117 goals. So X plus 8 plus 2X minus 3 is equals to 117. So adding all the X parts, 4X plus 5 is 117. 4X is 117 minus 5, and X is 112 upon 4. You can use your calculator for this one, but I've also used it for previous divisions as well. 112 divided by 4, which means 28. Always read the question. Again, sometimes they ask you a different value as well. So 28 is the total goals scored. Now 28 is the goal scored by FC, which is X. And that is what the question had asked. Moving on to question number 15. Simplify this. Okay, we can cross cancel when we are multiplying fractions, or we can cancel them. So if I just cancel this Q with this cube and this 2 with this 1. This is 2. Now p will multiply by 2p and I'll have a t in the denominator, so that will be 2p square upon p. And this is how we can simplify this. Now the next is 4x cubed to the power 4. So that would basically means 4 to the power 4, and x will take a power of 12, in which basically 3 multiplied by 4 in the powers. So 4 to the power 4, we can use our calculators to find this value. 4 to the power 4, which is 256. So 256 x to the power 12. So moving on to question number 16. And in this one, the question wants us to find the gradient of line L. There are many ways of doing it. The easiest approach or the most hittable approach for almost all the students is you can take 2 points clearly on this graph. If I take this point in which it is 4, 10, this is 1 point. Another point which I can clearly read from the graph, this is again 2, 4. Now using these 2 points, I can find the gradient of line L, which is basically y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So if I'm taking y2 as this one, I need to make sure if 10 is my y2, 4 must be my x2. So 10 minus 4 divided by 4 minus 2. Gradient is 10 minus 4, 6 upon 2, which is 3. You can obviously use your calculator to get the same value. Write down the equation of the line in this form. Y is equals to, now they are asking for a specific form. We know the gradient. Can we see the y-intercept from the graph? Where does the graph cuts the y-axis? So the graph cuts the y-axis at -2, which means the value of c, which is the y-intercept, is -2. So the equation is y is equals to 3x minus 2. Moving on to question number 17. In the first part, the question says it is a graph of y is equals to 1 upon 2x squared plus 3x from -1 to 3. By drawing a tangent, estimate the gradient of the curve at x is equals to 0.5. Now where x is 0.5, I need to draw a tangent. A tangent is a line that just touches a curve at one particular instance. So 0.5, let me see, 1, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is a point where I'm expected to draw a tangent, a line that just touches the curve at this particular point and nowhere else. I'll tell you another calculator method as well to verify your answer, how accurate your answer is. So once you make this line, you can take 2 points on the graph to find your gradient of the tangent. One is this point, the very point where we are making it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This coordinate is 0.5 on x, and on y it is 3.2, 3.4, comma 3. So these are the x and the y coordinates. I can take any other point which I can clearly read from the graph, because that would help us. So if I take this point, it is, well, I'll rather take the y-intercept. That will help me. This point, the coordinates are 5.4 somewhere around 5.3 to be specific, comma, sorry, that's the y coordinate. I have written the y coordinate first. Just rectify it. It is 0, comma 5.3. So now I can use these 2 points to find the gradient of the tangent, which is technically the gradient of the curve at this instance. So m is again y2 minus y1, 5.3 minus 3.4 upon x2 minus x1, 0 minus 0.5. So the gradient is 5.3 minus 3.4 upon 0 minus 0.5, and it is minus 3.8. You can obviously verify it with your calculator if you have this calculator. How to do that? You press shift and you get d over dx. You write the entire equation in this one, 1 over 2 alpha, and this red x square plus 3 alpha x. Once you have the entire equation, at which point do you want to find the gradient? At x 0.5. This will give you a value minus 0.5. The value is very close. Do not worry about it. Do not freak out. Minus 3.8 is a good enough value. Okay, so moving on to the second part of this question, which confuses lots of students. Use the graph to estimate the solution of the equation this. If I want to solve this equation graphically, I'll have to make the graphs of the two expressions or the two values. One y is equals to, I'll have to make the two graphs, one y over 2x squared plus 3x and y is equals to 2. So if I solve them simultaneously, I will get this equation. So graphically, if I want to solve them, I'll have to construct both these graphs. This is a graph that I've already drawn. Now the other graph that I'll have to draw is y is equal to 2. Where is y is equal to 2? Y is equals to 2 is a line over here. And where does it intersect? We need to find the x coordinate, which is minus 0.1, 2, 3, and 4, minus 0.4. So the solution is x is minus 0.4. Remember, we are technically solving this equation, and this equation only has x as the unknown. So I only need to write the x coordinate of the point of intersection. Now moving on to the next one. Again, in order to solve this equation, I'll have to draw both the graphs. Right now, as per the equation, I will want to draw y equals to 1 upon 2x squared. Now I'll have to draw y equals to 7 minus 4x. So I'll have to draw two graphs because I do not have this graph. So I'll try to manipulate this equation in such a way that on one side of the equation, I have the graph that I've already drawn. How do I do that? This is 1 over 2x squared. I need a plus 3x over here. So if I'm adding a 3x over here, I'll also have to add it on the other side to make sure that the equation does not change and I've manipulated it into my favor. So now if I want to solve this equation graphically, I'll have to draw this graph, which I already have. Y is equals to 1 upon 2x squared plus 3x. I already have this graph. The other graph that I'll have to draw is y is equals to 7 minus x. Now how to draw this graph of straight line of y is equals to 7 minus x? I need to draw the graph of y is equals to 7 minus x. Most of you prefer tabulating your answers. So I'll do that with you. If the value of x is 0, value of y is 7. Can I plot that? Yes, I can. I have this point. And if the value of x is 2, the value of y is 5. Plug it in this one and find out. So if I have these 2 points, 7 and 5 and 2. Obviously, I can extend the line. I must extend the line to get all possible solutions. So where is it cutting the graph? It is cutting the graph over here, and the x coordinate is this one. It is also cutting the graph over here. X coordinate is this, and it is also cutting the graph over here, for which the x coordinate is this. So the three values of x that I am getting is 2, 1.7, 0.3, minus 0.1, 0.2, minus 0.25. So these are the three values that I am getting. You can also verify this using your calculator, but we'll leave it for some other time, or else you might get confused. So the values of x are minus 0.25, 3, and the other is 1.7. So these are the three values of x that we will end up with. Obviously, your values can vary a little, but इसी के आसपास होना चाहिए. Make the line properly, extend it in one go, use a big transparent ruler. Going on to question 18. The diagram shows a field A, B, C, D. I've told you people always to read the description below the question, because there is lots of information that might not be on the figure and in the description below. Always, always, always read the description, even if you feel that all the values are on the figure. So just always read the description once at least. The bearing of B from A is 140. So from A, if I see the bearing, it is supposed to be 140. This entire angle is 140. Next is C is due east of B. We know that if I draw north on B, this will be 90 degrees. D is due north of C. So this is also north, which means this angle is also 90. AB is 400 meters. BC is 350 meters. And CD entirely is 450 meters. Okay, so these are the values that the question has provided us. Find the bearing of D from B. Bearing of D from B. I've told you people, whenever you can go to my video of bearing and see that I've told you people, whenever you're finding the bearing of D from B, the first thing you're supposed to do is see that you have a line of D from B. Most of the question gives you that line, but this one does not. So the first thing that you're supposed to do is draw that line of B from D. And then the question is telling me bearing of D from B. That means I'll have to draw a north on B. And this is the clockwise angle I am looking for. So the first thing that I'll do, BCD is a right angle triangle. I can find this angle using tangent. I'll subtract this angle from 90. So right angle triangle, I'll write tan B, opposite is 450, upon adjacent is 350. So the angle B is tan inverse of 450 upon 350, which is 52.1 degrees. 52.1 degrees. So for the bearing, I'll have to subtract this from 90. 90 minus my answer, which is 37.9. Make sure you do not end up making the rounding of error. Why did I write it as 9? Because this is 37.87. Now, 7 makes sure that this is 9, 37.9. So the bearing of D from B is 037.9. And bearing, you always write all the place values of hundreds, tens, and units. Even if it's 1 degree, you write 001. So the answer is 037.9. Moving on to the next part, which is asking us to calculate the distance from D to A. Okay, so D to A distance. I do have this angle, and using the interior angles, I can say that if this was 140, this will be 40 north to north lines and parallel. So I know the entire angle B. I already have this bearing and the angle 40. Now if I focus on the triangle A, B, D, what lengths do I have? Because I need to find the distance of D from A. So what lengths do I have? I need to find AD. I have AB. I do not have BD. I can use the Pythagoras theorem to get the length of BD from triangle BCD. So using Pythagoras theorem, which is h square is p square plus b square, hypotenuse is BD, perpendicular is 450 and 350. 450 square plus 350 square. I'll underroot the entire thing and the calculator must give me the answer, which is 450 square plus 350 square. The answer is 50 root 130. So 50 root 130. I'll write it be this way because I'll need this value in the next part. So I'm trying to keep it exact, which is in the form of surds. So I have the length of BD as well. Now looking at triangle ABD and using the cosine rule. The cosine rule will be given in the exam. I'm writing the cosine rule that will be provided in the first page of the formula sheet, cos A. So I need to find AD. So the angle opposite to it is what I'm looking for, which is this complete angle. Okay. And which was 37.875, just to be sure. So AD square is, one of the sides is 400 and the other is 50 root 130. So 400 squared plus 50 root 130 squared minus 2, 400, 50 root 130 cos of 40 plus 37.9. Can do that. 40 plus 37.9 and the answer is 77.9. Now this is a step that we must show that how did we plug in all the relative values, and we will square root the entire thing to get the answer using the calculators smartly. 400 squared plus 50 root 130 and this is squared minus 2, 450 root 130, come out of the under root, close the bracket, cos of 77.9, and you get your value 624 meters. So this is the length of A to D. Okay, so question 19 is about a group data. They've provided us the speed of 200 cars passing a building is measured. Cars that had speed between 0 and 20, there were 16 such cars. We do not know the speed of every single one of them, but we do have the group data. So if I were to estimate a mean, what will I do? I'll designate the mid value of the group to all the cars. So there are 0 to 20, the mid value is 10. I will say that all these 16 cars had a speed of 10 for the sake of mean. Similarly, I'll just write it up so that there is no confusion. 10 is the mid value of this group. 30 is the mid value of this group. Mid value can be found by taking the upper and the lower boundary, adding them up and dividing by 2. 42.5 is the mid value for this one. 47.5 is the mid value for this group. And 55 is the mid value for this one. And 70 is the mid value for this one. So now in order to estimate the mean is sum of all data divided by number of readings. So mean speed. So there are 10 is the speed of how many cars? 16. So instead of adding 10 again and again, I'll just multiply it by 60. 30 is the speed of 34 cars. 42.5 is the speed of 62 cars. 47.5 is the speed of 58 cars. 55 is the speed of 26 cars, and 70 is the speed of 4 cars divided by 200, which is the total number of cars. So the mean speed we should be ending up with 10 into 10 into 16 plus 30 into 34 plus 42.5 into 62 plus 47.5 into 58 plus 55 into 26 plus 70 times 4. This should be dividing by 200. So the mean we should end up with is 41.4. That is the mean average speed of the cars. Now it wants us to fill the cumulative frequency table. Okay, so the total number of cars, cumulative means the total number of cars that have a speed less than 16 and less than 20 is 16. The total number of cars that have a speed less than 40 is 34 plus 16, which is 50. Now the total number of cars that have a speed less than 45, we know this is 50, and this group will also be included in that, which means 50 plus 62, which is 112. So this is 112, and then I'll have to include the remaining 58 as well for the total number of cars that have a speed less than 50. So 112 plus 58 should mean 170. And the rest of the values have been plotted for us. Now in the next question, it is asking us to draw the cumulative frequency curve. Okay, so in the next part, it wants us to draw the cumulative frequency curve. So first, in order to plot the points, I know that the minimum speed was 0 and there was no car that was going with the speed 0. Remember, your cumulative frequency curve should always touch the x-axis, not the origin. It's not necessary, but it must always touch the x-axis. Now, the next is for the speed of 20, the cumulative frequency is 16. The speed is 20. One of the blocks, 40 divided by 10, one of the blocks is 4, 4, 8, 12, and 16. You can use crosses or dots, both are acceptable. And then for the speed of 40, the cumulative frequency is 50. So for 40, it is 44, 48, and just in the middle. Okay, and then for 45, the cumulative frequency is 112. So for 45, it is 100, 42, 4 and 5, 104, 108, and 112. The next one, it is for 50, it is 170. For 50, it is 170, 164, 68, and 170 somewhere over here. And for the last one, sorry, second last 60, it is 196. So for 60, it is 196. 4 below 200, and for 80, it is 200. So now you're supposed to join them with smooth curve. I'll show you how it is done. You'll obviously using a pencil, and you can just join them with a smooth curve, smooth line. This is the kind of graph that you will end up at. And this is how your cumulative frequency curve will look like. So you must join all the points with a smooth curve, and that is what your cumulative frequency curve will look like. And now in the next part, it has asked me to find the number of cars that have a speed greater than 35. So speed greater than 35, that means I will 32, 34, and 35. If I read how many cars have a speed, 35 will be exactly in the middle. So how many cars have a speed of 35? If I read it, it is 40, 36. 36 have a speed less than 35. So how many have a speed greater than 35? I know the total cars are 200. So speed greater than 35, 200 minus 36, which is 164. Obviously, your values can vary a little, but this is how you will do it. Now, this is the kind of question that appeared also in your P1s. The diagram shows a sector of a circle of radius 8 centimeters, the length of arc. Arc length can be found by taking x upon 360 times 2 pi r. Now I know that the arc length is 6.4. I do not know the angle at the center, and I eventually need to find the area of sector. So what will I do? This 6.4 will multiply by 360, and 2 pi radius is also 8x. So the value of x will be, I'll just write 6.4 times 360, that is 2304. 2304 upon 16 pi. I can just simplify the fraction using the calculator. 2304 upon 16. 2304 upon 16, which gives me 144. So the answer is 144 upon pi. This is my angle that I have come up with. And now in order to find the area of the sector is x upon 360 into pi r square. X is 144 upon pi. I'll let it be this way, over 360 into pi, and the radius is 8 squared. So the area of sector, I'll use this exact answer. Okay, in the numerator, I'll write answer, which is 144 divided by pi. This is my numerator, divided by 360 into pi into 8 squared. So the answer is 25.6 centimeters square. And this is how I can find my area of sector. Moving on to question number 21, which states that the population of a village is 6,800. The population of the village increases exponentially at a rate of R% per year. So population after n years, if I want to find it, will be the initial population 1 plus R upon 100, because it is increasing. If it was decreasing, I would have subtracted 1 minus, I would have written 1 minus R upon 100 to the power n. So I know the population after n years is 8,353. Initial population is 6,800. 1 plus R is what I need to figure out, and this is the population after 5 years. So 8,353 upon 6,800 is 1 plus R upon 100 to the power 5. Now, in order to remove power 5, I'll take the fifth root, or the power 8,353 upon 6,800, or the power 1 over 5, or fifth root. Both mean the same thing, 1 plus R upon 100. I'm just trying to keep it exact for as long as possible, because eventually I will have to use the calculator for all these operations. 1 over 5, and 1 comes on this side, it subtracts R upon 100. Now the 100 will multiply by this entire thing, and now I can just use my calculator smartly to get an accurate answer. I've also reduced the calculator usage time and the decimal putting in time. So 100 will multiply by, I'll use another bracket for the fraction, 8,353 upon 6,800, and the entire thing has a power 1 upon 5, which I can just write 1 divided by 5 minus 1. I need to close in the big bracket as well. The value of R is 4.199, which is 4.20. So this is how I can find. Now the next is regarding the graph of exponential growth. It starts from 6,800 and it will grow exponentially, which means that the graph will go something like this, smooth curve and going upwards. This is how the graph of exponential growth will look like. The exponential degrees will come down. Okay. Then the next one, this is a question in which the diagram has shown us two triangles and it wants us to calculate RS. So if I want to calculate RS, I will want to use sine rule, but I do not have this angle. I'll first find out this angle. How will I do that? Because I need an angle and a side pair to use the sine rule. So the angle S plus 55 plus 45 should be equal to 180. So the angle S will be equal to 180 minus 55 plus 45, which is 80. So I have this angle S as 80 degrees. Now I can just use the sine rule, and I'll say RS upon sine of its corresponding angle, which is 55, is equals to 150 upon sine of its corresponding angle, which means the angle in front of the side. So RS ke samne, the angle right in front of it is 55. That is the angle that I'll use. and RS is 150 sine 55 upon sine 80. If you're still confused about it, you can go to my video regarding the sine and the cosine rule and you can have a look at that. So the final answer can be calculated as 150 sine 55 divided by sine 80, which means that the value of RS is 124.8 or 125, correct to three significant figures. Moving on to the second part, calculate the total area of the two triangles. Area can be found using half AB sine C. Make sure AB sine C means two sides and the angle between those two sides. So area for the first triangle PQR is half. Okay, this I'll just write the general formula AB sine C. So the area is found for the first triangle. The two sides are 120 and 150 and the angle between those two sides is 25. So half into 120 into 150 into sine 25. This will give me the first area. I'll add the other area to it. This is 150 and the other side we figured out is 124.8 and the angle between them is 45. So this is half into 150 into 124.8 into sine of 45. Now I can just use my calculator very smartly and very easily. 1/2. I can also write it as 0.5. That will save time into 120 into 150 into sine of 25. Make sure you close the bracket of sine plus again 1/2. The calculator will automatically follow BODMAS. You don't need to worry about it. 150 into 124.8 into sine of 45. So the two areas add up to be 10422. 10422 centimeters square. And if I want to write it down, 10400, correct to three significant figures. So I've also explained a bit of rounding off over here. And now moving on to question number 23. We need to factorize this three-term cubic expression. I can just take x common, 2x squared minus 3x minus 20. Now I can do middle term breaking on this. 2x squared into 20 is 40. So for 40, I can just use very easy minus 8x plus 5x minus 20. 2x common, x minus 4 plus 5 common, x minus 4. Close the big bracket as well. X, the other bracket is x minus 4 and the third bracket is 2x plus 5. So this is how I have factorized this cubic expression. Now I need to sketch the graph of this one. And the question tells me to write down the coordinates where it cuts the x-axis. So this is a general cubic graph. I'll just tell you how the shape is of a general positive cubic graph. Something like this. I'm not drawing it on the grid right now, but this is the general shape that I have. Now, in order to find the x-intercepts, I know that when it crosses the x-axis, the y-coordinate is 0. So, in place of this entire expression, can I write this factorized form? Because I factorized the exact same thing. So I can say that y is this, and when it crosses the x-axis, y is 0. So the one of the values of x is 0, and then x minus 4 is 0, and then 2x plus 5 is 0. One of the values of x is 0, the other is 4, and the other is minus 2.5. So these are the three places where it is supposed to cross the x-axis: 0, 4, and negative 2.5. So negative 2.5 will be something like this. Try to make this one further because this is supposed to be 4, this is supposed to be 0, and this is supposed to be negative 2.5. It does not have to be symmetrical. Minus 2.5 will be much closer to the y-axis than 4. So just be careful with this, and this is how you can draw your cubic curve. Now in the next one, need to expand a three-term cubic expression. How will we expand it? Please follow the steps carefully to understand. First, let's multiply 2 of the brackets. If I choose to multiply these two, I will get x into 3x is 3x squared minus x minus 15x plus 5. I've just multiplied these two brackets. I've kept the entire answer in another bracket because I know the entire thing will multiply by x plus 3. So first I must simplify like terms: 3x squared minus 16x plus 5. Now x will multiply by 3x squared. This will be 3x cubed minus 16x squared plus 5x plus, now 3 will multiply 9x squared minus 3 into 16. You can use your calculator. It is 48x and plus 15. Rearrange the like terms with each other: 3x cubed minus 16x squared plus 9x squared plus 5x minus 48x plus 15. So 3x cubed minus 16 and plus 9 is minus 7. You can verify that with your calculator. Minus 43x plus 15. This is what you should end up on. Moving on to the next one. Okay, the diagram shows a cuboid. Calculate. Now the cuboid, every face makes an angle of 90 degree with the other face. So in order to find the angle between BH, the angle B to H, the angle between BH and the face BCGF. So I'll just try to make a triangle because we find angle between two lines. So if I make this triangle BGH, now this is a right angle triangle. I know it doesn't appear so, but yes, it is. And I'm telling you for a fact that if you have two walls in front of you, your front wall and your right wall, both will make a 90-degree angle with each other. So first I can find the value of BG using Pythagoras theorem. BG is my hypotenuse. BG squared is 6 squared plus 7 squared. So the value of BG is, I can just use this one, 7 squared plus 6 squared, and square root of the answer, which is square root of 85. Now I already know the value of HG, which is 12. I can simply use in order to find this angle. Remember, the angle that I'm trying to find is this one, this B angle. So I can just use tan of B, opposite is 12 and adjacent is square root of 85. B is tan inverse of 12 upon square root 85. The answer is 52.5 degrees, 52.5 degrees. And that is the angle between BH and the face BCGF. So that's it from this paper. Best of luck for your exam tomorrow. I hope you do good. And if you have any queries and if you want me to address any other topic or question, feel free to comment. Thank you so much of us.